Welcome back to the AME Food Safety Show. I love this song because it talks about a fantasy. I have a fantasy that someday only safe food will be available. I want to remind everybody that's watching this show that I have these free bumper stickers, Only Eat Safe Food. You must determine what is safe to you and your families. Call 559-827-8245. I will send you one of these bumper stickers at my own cost. Just call me, 559-827-8245, and let everyone you know your goal is to only eat safe food. I also want to, in this final segment, review with you this product, which sends out a UV light, ultraviolet light, which breaks apart the DNA of bacterial organisms. Use it on your computer screens, computer mice, light switches, anything where a lot of variant people touch and you know they don't wash their hands. Potentiality for human contamination is everywhere. Let's begin this segment, the final segment for today, talking about the top 10 food companies which are selling you products for you to ingest in your bodies. You'll be shocked. This first slide shows the top 10 companies. I'm going to name these, and you're going to think, oh, Andy, I don't use that. Or, Andy, that has nothing to do with me. Pepsi, General Mills, Kellogg's, British Foods, Kraft Foods, Mars, Danone, Unilever, Coca-Cola, and Nestle. These are the major food companies. They might sell you beer, chips, any kind of food that you can imagine, cereal for your children. Next slide. This slide shows a lot more substantive information about the relationships of these companies and their products. As you look at Nestle, I believe they have over 900 products, but this chart is somewhat abbreviated. Coca-Cola. That chart alone would be taking this entire area of all their associated companies. Unilever, PepsiCo, that's actually one of my clients, one of my products. We screen it for the total bacteria. And we're almost assuming that they want to produce a product that is aseptic or the absence of any bacteria. Kellogg's, General Mills, Kraft Foods, Mars. What is important to you is to know that very few companies produce the food that you're eating every day and your family's eating. What does that mean? As we looked at tobacco producers, their main goal was to have more people buy their products. So they produce inducements or chemical inducements to keep their tobacco users keep using it from youth to death. A lot of these products that you see listed have the same incentive. Let's look why. Next slide. These vendors show different names producing more products. They even produce anything from Tide, cleansing, and potato chips. You might see gum. You might see fresh water. All of these companies have the same motivation to make money from your purchase of things that you will ingest or use. Next slide. Why am I drawing that out? Why am I saying it's important to look at what food companies are producing? Here's a slide that might shock you. You see these producers, they're pretty much the same as the others with their associated products. What you don't see is that these companies support genetically modified organisms. What is it? GMO. These are organisms that scientists like me have developed to grow them faster, to use a chemical that will kill weeds and bugs, and to make other changes that you might find surprising. They change the genetic structure of these products. They could be vegetable, animal, or mineral that you are consuming, so you'll buy more, and the consequences of which are as yet undetermined. Next slide. But these companies don't want GMO products incorporated into their products that they are labeling. As I've always said in this show, the AMA Food Safety Show, read the label, look for genetically modified organisms, and avoid those products. The best way to have more non-GMO products is to buy them. Sponsor companies that are morally committed not to harm the human race. And what you see here, oh yes, Andy, we already know about some of these fancy food companies that I can't afford to go into, like Whole Foods, like Trader Joe's. But look at these companies. Try to find those products, but still read the labels. Next slide. This might shock some of the parents out there, particularly after Halloween, is to look at food companies from that major group that have genetically modified organisms in candy. Can I find a child out there that doesn't think about candy 24 hours a day? Look at these. Snickers, Butterfields, Twix, Milky Way. A lot of my favorites, by the way. My dad owned a store when I was a kid, and I used to work all day to get a Snickers bar. That's why my teeth are mostly rotted out. But the bottom line is that these products are made with complete disregard for the whole issue of genetically modified organisms. The day that you stop buying genetically modified organisms is the day that a marketing manager for one of these big food companies say, hey, you know what? We need to change. It's your dollars. You're the food safety activist that I want to see out there. Next slide. Andy, I try to buy everything organic. Well, guess what? You're going to face the same situation. Very few major food organic producers and a lot of mom and pops. What do those big food companies do? They go out and they look for viable acquisition candidates. And then they buy them. Maybe somebody started a honey production. Maybe somebody else started a lettuce production, which is non what they call commercial or non-chemical or organic. Walmart has a certain line. When you go to buy produce in the grocery store, look at the lines. If it doesn't say non-GMO or organic, the chances are you're going to have a genetically modified organism in that less expensive product. But Andy, I can't spend that extra $1 for tomatoes. Fine. Let's see how your children look next generation. We have more children that are autistic than we've ever had. It wasn't 20 years ago. I did a study when I was in college of what were the contributing factors. And there are a lot of them. But my personal opinion is that there are going to be more autistic children because of genetically modified organisms. There are studies that say that. Another study sponsored by those major food companies say it has nothing to do with it. You be the judge. Next slide. Here's a very surprising fact about companies that produce food. Does everybody know what a director is on a board of directors? They make global decisions for the food company. Some of these companies have hundreds of products, 1,000, 2,000. But what's consistent in a lot of these companies are the board members, the controlling stockholders. As you look at this chart, you'll see board members that are sitting on the Coca-Cola board, they're sitting on the Cargill board, they're sitting on the Heinz board, they're sitting on the Tyson board. So they are making the same discretionary decisions, the judgments. Leave that chemical in there. It really hooks them. Hey, don't worry about GMOs. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for moral people that produce moral food. Immoral people don't care about you. In my opinion, and you can sue me if you want, tobacco producers are immoral. Yeah, they put a filter on there, and yes, they have a lot of ads, and yes, they have a lot of placement in movies. But they produce a horrible product. Look at this. Biotech companies are directly contributing. Merck, which is a German company, which I'll raise in another show. They produce beer. You're looking at a lot of different companies. Diamond is here in town, in the valley. Look at what the directors do and the consistency of their decisions. Next slide. Andy, you know what? I eat a lot at fast food joints. And there are a lot of films on YouTube about, 30 days of McDonald's, whatever it was, and the person became somewhat slightly obese and had other challenges. What are these fast food producers producing in the area of food? It's very consistent. You'll see a lot of high fructose corn syrup. It's almost in everything. Once as a young man, I worked at McDonald's, and I asked my boss, I said, why is the McDonald's bun so brown? He said, Andy, are you dumb? We put brown sugar in there. And then why are the fries so addictive? I can't just eat one. Well, he said, number one, it's the salt. And then we put additional chemicals in there to make the people eat them. And as they ask you, would you like a meal? What that's meaning, if it's breakfast, it's those hash brown fries with the hydrogenated oil that will never leave your body. Or it's the French fries with the same kind of oil. Sometimes they say, oh, we use peanut oil or we use soy oil. But all of those oils have chemicals in them that they've intentionally added to make you eat more. In another show, I'll raise the issues with Kentucky Fried Chicken. I love, and I have to eat it when I'm out of town because my wife won't let me eat it here in town, is the original flavor. It has a chemical called MSG. Remember that? It was originally designed by the Japanese so that their soldiers would eat rotten food. I'll raise that in another session. Next slide. So, here's my suggestions for you on the corporate publishing and marketing of food that's hazardous to you. Read the label. You're going to hear me say this every time. When you go to these food companies, these fast food joints, they will have a nutrition chart. And it's so small, the print, you can't even read it. You have to take a magnifying glass. But the issue is think twice. A lot of them are having fresh alternatives. I suggest if you're a parent or if you're a person with immunocompromised situations or you want to improve your health in general, look at that chart. Try to avoid high fructose corn syrup. When you go to the drink bar now, would you like a large or small? They're asking you if you want a double dose, even though you can walk back and forth as many times as you want to get more sugar in your system. You'll have a rush for about 20 or 30 minutes so that sugar tails down, and then you'll sort of meander around, oh, why did I eat there? So the bottom line for you is to read the food labels, look for harmful ingredients, avoid that product, research your eating habits, make wise choices. As a matter of fact, on the road for the last 5 years, because I do travel quite a bit, I've been trying to go into grocery stores and look at fresh produce rather than a prepared product with all those chemicals. So what I'd like to do is to close this show for today, for the AME Food Safety Show, with my final warning. Eat safe food. And if you'd like, I can send you this bumper sticker so you can let your friends and family know only eat safe food. Thank you very much. I look forward to the next show.